Tonight, the latest developments demand your full attention, and once you hear this, you'll understand why. A royal photographer who spent 45 years documenting the British monarchy has finally broken his silence. Arthur Edwards, the man trusted to capture 6 generations of royal history, has revealed something that changes everything we thought we knew about one of the most controversial moments in modern royal history. What he's saying isn't speculation. It's first-hand testimony from someone who was there, who saw what happened, and who was explicitly told to stay silent. Before we go any further, I need you to do something. Hit that subscribe button right now. This story is developing rapidly and you don't want to miss what comes next. Like this video, share it with anyone who needs to hear the truth, and drop a comment below telling me, do you believe the palace has been hiding something all along, or is this just another conspiracy theory? I want to hear your honest thoughts. Now let me take you back to where this all began. When most royals announce a pregnancy, the world erupts, cameras flash, headlines scream, the public celebrates. It's a spectacle that's been repeated for generations. When Princess Diana was expecting, when Kate Middleton stepped out glowing with each of her 3 pregnancies, the world watched every moment. Photographers documented every appearance. The hospitals prepared for crowds. It was tradition. It was expected. It was normal. But when Meghan Markle's pregnancy was announced, something shifted. Something fundamental changed in how the palace handled everything. And Arthur Edwards noticed immediately. For decades, Edwards had been the royal family's most trusted lens. He photographed William's birth. He captured Harry as a baby. He was there for George, Charlotte, and Louis. Every major royal moment, every milestone, every carefully orchestrated photo opportunity, Arthur Edwards was invited. He was part of the inner circle, someone the palace relied on to tell their story to the world. Until Meghan. Edwards recently admitted something that sent shockwaves through royal circles. He was explicitly told not to photograph Meghan's pregnancy, not discouraged, not politely asked to give them space. Told, ordered, commanded to stay away. For a man who had documented nearly half a century of royal history, who had access that most journalists could only dream of, this was unprecedented. Let me paint you a picture of just how unusual this was. When Kate Middleton was pregnant with each of her children, there were organized photo calls. The palace coordinated with the press. They understood that public interest wasn't just curiosity, it was part of the unspoken contract between the monarchy and the people. The royals live extraordinary lives funded by taxpayers, and in return, they share certain moments. It's been this way for generations. But Meghan's team took a different approach, a completely different approach. They wanted privacy, they said. They wanted to protect their unborn child from the invasive media. Noble intentions, perhaps, but the execution raised more questions than it answered. Because here's what happened instead of the traditional transparency: complete lockdown. No official photographs of the pregnancy, no coordinated press events, no hospital steps appearance that had become a hallmark of royal births. Instead, there was silence. A deafening, suspicious silence that made people wonder what exactly was being hidden. And then the videos started appearing. The first one that truly ignited the firestorm showed Meghan, reportedly 9 months pregnant, in what appeared to be a hospital setting. But she wasn't resting. She wasn't sitting carefully. She was dancing, actually dancing. She dropped into a full squat, bounced back up, and moved with an agility that medical professionals immediately questioned. Doctors and nurses began speaking out, not officially, but in whispers across social media and professional forums. They said the same thing. A woman that far along in pregnancy, especially with her first child, simply doesn't move like that. The physical reality of late-term pregnancy, the weight, the discomfort, the shifted center of gravity, it all makes such movements extremely difficult, if not impossible. But there she was, on camera, moving like someone who had never been pregnant at all. The internet did what the internet does best. It investigated. Frame-by-frame analysis began. People froze the footage, zoomed in, enhanced every pixel, and that's when observers started noticing something else. The shape of her stomach seemed to change between appearances. Not gradually, as a pregnancy naturally would, but drastically. In one appearance, she looked barely showing. Days later, she appeared months further along. Then, in some footage, the bump seemed to shift, even fold slightly, in ways that human anatomy simply doesn't allow. This gave birth to what became known as the moon bump theory. The suggestion that Meghan had used a prosthetic pregnancy belly. It sounds outrageous. It sounds like the kind of conspiracy theory that should be dismissed immediately, except the evidence kept mounting and the palace kept refusing to address any of it. Arthur Edwards watched all of this unfold from the sidelines, banned from doing the job he'd done for nearly 5 decades. He saw the confusion, he heard the questions, and he knew something the public didn't. He knew he'd been specifically ordered to stay away. That single fact, that one piece of insider testimony, adds credibility to everything else that followed. Think about the implications for a moment. If there was nothing to hide, if this was simply a normal royal pregnancy that the couple wanted to keep private, why the extreme measures? Why ban the most trusted royal photographer in Britain? Why not allow even a single official photograph under controlled conditions? The palace had managed royal pregnancies for generations. They knew how to balance privacy with public interest. They'd done it successfully with William and Kate multiple times. So why was Meghan's situation handled so radically differently? Some defenders argue it was about racism, that Meghan was treated differently because of her background. Others claim it was about modernizing the monarchy, respecting a woman's right to privacy during pregnancy. These are important conversations, but they don't answer the fundamental question, why the total information blackout? And then came the birth announcement itself. Another moment that should have been straightforward but instead became mired in confusion and contradiction. The palace announced that a distinguished physician had delivered the baby at a specific location, standard procedure. Except within days, that doctor's own husband reportedly contradicted the story. He allegedly stated that his wife had not delivered the Sussex baby. This wasn't anonymous gossip. This was a named professional's family member directly disputing the official palace narrative. Let that sink in. The royal family, an institution that prides itself on precision, on carefully managed public relations, on controlling every detail of their public image, released information about the birth that was almost immediately contradicted by someone with direct knowledge. The hospital itself added to the confusion. Santa Barbara Cottage Hospital, where the birth allegedly took place, congratulated the couple publicly. But when pressed for details, when local journalists started asking questions, the hospital's tone changed. They posted reminders about their strict COVID protocols and mask requirements, seemingly suggesting that certain footage circulating online couldn't have been filmed there during that time period. Again, not a direct denial, not a confirmation, just carefully worded statements that created more questions than answers. It's the kind of corporate speak that lawyers love and truth seekers despise. Meanwhile, amateur investigators online were doing the palace's job for them. They compared the footage allegedly from the hospital with actual photographs of rooms at that facility. They analyzed floor tiles, wall colors, medical equipment, lighting fixtures. Some claimed to have found matches. Others pointed out inconsistencies. The hospital never confirmed or denied any of it, hiding behind patient privacy laws. But here's what makes all of this truly significant: the pattern. It's not any single piece of evidence that raises alarms. It's the accumulation. It's the banned photographer, plus the dancing video, plus the changing bump size, plus the contradicted birth announcement, plus the hospital's non-denial denials. Each individual element might have an innocent explanation. Together, they paint a picture of something deeply unusual. Arthur Edwards, watching all of this from his forced exile, represents something important. He's not a tabloid hack. He's not someone with an axe to grind. He spent his entire career building trust with the royal family. He was their guy, their preferred lens, someone they knew would treat them fairly. When someone like that says he was told to stay away, it matters. When someone like that finally speaks up, people listen, and what he's revealed fits perfectly with what observers have been saying for years. This wasn't a normal royal pregnancy. The palace didn't handle it with their usual confident precision. Instead, they panicked. They locked down information. They banned trusted professionals. They created an information vacuum that conspiracy theories rushed to fill. Some have suggested that perhaps Meghan faced complications that required privacy. That's certainly possible. But the royal family has dealt with medical issues before while maintaining transparency. The Queen herself was open about her health challenges in later years. Other royals have shared their struggles. Privacy for medical reasons doesn't require this level of secrecy. Others argue that Meghan and Harry were simply trying to modernize how royals handle personal matters. Fair enough. But modernization usually means more transparency, not less. It means connecting directly with the public, not hiding from them. Their later actions, the Oprah interview, the Netflix series, the tell-all book, all of those showed a couple eager to share their story. So why the complete lockdown during the pregnancy? The most disturbing element of all this isn't the speculation about what happened. It's the machinery that swung into action to silence anyone who asked questions. Edwards mentioned being told to stay away, but others faced worse. People who claimed to have witnessed inconsistencies, who worked at relevant locations, who had insider knowledge, reportedly faced pressure to remain quiet. There are whispered stories of palace officials making phone calls, of subtle threats about future employment, of people who spoke up finding themselves suddenly unemployed, their reputations damaged, their credibility attacked. It's the kind of soft intimidation that powerful institutions excel at. Nothing you can quite prove. Nothing that leaves fingerprints, just a pattern of unfortunate coincidences that happen to anyone who asks too many questions. One witness, whose identity remains protected, claimed that palace representatives approached her after she hinted at knowledge about inconsistencies in the official story. First came friendly requests for discretion, then came less friendly reminders about the importance of loyalty. Finally came consequences, professional doors closing, opportunities evaporating, social connections going cold. This is how powerful institutions protect their secrets, not with dramatic confrontations, but with quiet pressure applied systematically until dissent becomes too costly to maintain. Even the late Queen Elizabeth herself seemed to send a message. Royal watchers noticed something strange during one of her Christmas broadcasts. A framed photograph of Harry, Meghan, and baby Archie that had appeared in previous years was suddenly absent. The Queen never addressed it. She didn't need to. In the carefully choreographed world of royal communications, every object in those broadcasts is chosen deliberately. The absence of that photograph spoke volumes to those who understand palace language. It wasn't a public denouncement. It was something more subtle and more devastating. It was the royal equivalent of a parent quietly removing a child's graduation photo from the mantle. Everyone sees it. Everyone understands what it means, but nobody has to say it out loud. Now, you might be wondering why any of this matters. It's one pregnancy, one birth, one family's private business. Why does it deserve this level of scrutiny? Because it's not really about Meghan Markle. It's about institutional credibility. It's about whether the most visible monarchy on earth can be trusted to tell the truth about basic facts. It's about the relationship between public institutions and the people who fund them. The British royal family receives enormous taxpayer support. They live in palaces maintained by public money. Their security costs millions annually. In exchange for this extraordinary privilege, there's an expectation of transparency about certain matters. Not everything, certainly. They deserve privacy. But major life events, births that affect the line of succession, these have traditionally been part of the public record. When that transparency suddenly disappears without adequate explanation, people have a right to ask why. And when asking why results in professional photographers being banned, doctors contradicting official stories, and witnesses facing pressure to stay quiet, those questions become more urgent, not less. Arthur Edwards could have stayed silent. He's retired now. He has nothing to gain from speaking out and potentially everything to lose. The royal family could make his legacy uncomfortable. They could cast doubt on his decades of work. But he spoke anyway. That takes courage, especially when you've spent your entire career as an insider. What he's revealed doesn't prove any specific theory. It doesn't confirm that Meghan used a surrogate or wore a fake belly or lied about the pregnancy. What it proves is that something unusual happened, unusual enough that the palace felt they needed to shut down normal protocols and ban their most trusted photographer. In the age of smartphones and social media, when teenagers live stream their lunches and influencers share every moment of their lives, the most photographed family on earth somehow managed to have a pregnancy and birth with almost no verifiable documentation. That's not privacy. That's a controlled information operation. And here's what makes it even stranger. Meghan and Harry have shown they're perfectly comfortable sharing intimate details when it suits them. They've discussed mental health struggles, family tensions, private conversations, all in very public forums. They've signed deals with streaming platforms specifically to tell their story, so the desire for privacy doesn't quite explain the pregnancy lockdown. What does explain it? That's the question that keeps people investigating. That's why Arthur Edwards' testimony matters so much, because he's confirming that yes, something abnormal happened. Yes, the palace took extraordinary measures. Yes, there are legitimate reasons to question the official narrative. Does that mean every conspiracy theory is true? Absolutely not. The internet has generated wild speculation, some of it clearly false, much of it impossible to verify. But dismissing all questions because some theories are outlandish is exactly what powerful institutions hope you'll do. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Something happened that the palace wanted to keep private. Whatever it was, they felt it was important enough to throw out decades of protocol, to risk public suspicion, to create exactly the kind of information vacuum that breeds conspiracy theories. Maybe there were medical complications they didn't want to discuss. Maybe there were fertility treatments involved that they considered private. Maybe the timeline wasn't quite what they publicly stated. We may never know the exact truth, but we know something was hidden, and we know that Arthur Edwards, a man who spent 45 years earning the trust of the royal family, was told to stay away from documenting it. That matters. In a democracy, in a modern society that values transparency and truth, it matters when powerful institutions hide information without adequate justification. It matters when people who ask questions face professional consequences. It matters when the official story keeps changing or contradicting itself. The royal family has survived scandals before. They've weathered divorces, affairs, abdications, and public relations disasters. They've adapted to changing times while maintaining their essential role in British society. But they've done so by eventually being honest with the public, by acknowledging mistakes, by showing humanity behind the crowns and titles. The Meghan pregnancy saga represents something different. It's a complete stonewalling, a refusal to engage with legitimate questions, a hope that if they just stay silent long enough, everyone will forget and move on. But the internet doesn't forget. Screenshots last forever. Videos get analyzed frame by thousands of amateur investigators with too much time and impressive technical skills. In trying to control the narrative so tightly, the palace may have ensured that speculation will continue indefinitely. Arthur Edwards' revelation won't satisfy everyone. Those who believe Meghan are pregnant will see it as an old man clinging to outdated royal protocols. Those who doubt the official story will see it as vindication. The truth, as always, is probably more complicated than either extreme position allows. What we can say with certainty is this: the handling of Meghan Markle's pregnancy was unprecedented in modern royal history. The most transparent institution suddenly became opaque. The most photographed family suddenly banned photographers. The most carefully managed public relations operations suddenly created confusion and contradiction. And now we know, thanks to Arthur Edwards, that it wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate choice to shut down normal coverage, to keep the most trusted royal photographer away from one of the biggest stories of the decade. Why? That's the question that continues to echo through royal circles and internet forums alike. So here's what I want you to do. First, make sure you've subscribed to this channel because this story is far from over. New information continues to emerge. More people are finding the courage to speak up. The palace's silence is finally cracking. Second, share this video with everyone you know who follows royal news. This needs to reach as many people as possible. The mainstream media has been hesitant to cover this story with the seriousness it deserves, probably afraid of losing palace access. But the truth deserves to be heard. Third, and most importantly, tell me what you think in the comments. Do you believe the palace is hiding something significant? Do you think this is all overblown speculation? Do you trust Arthur Edwards' account? I read every single comment, and your perspectives matter. This is a conversation, not a lecture. The story of what really happened during Meghan Markle's pregnancy may never be fully known. But thanks to people like Arthur Edwards, who are finally willing to speak up, we're getting closer to the truth. And in a world where powerful institutions increasingly operate in shadows, every bit of truth matters. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. The truth is out there, and together, we're going to find it.